Warning: this video may contain vulgar language and adult content. If you are easily offended or are susceptible to events pertaining to death, gore, family troubles, or other potential threats, then know that viewer discretion is advised. Please be safe when viewing and stop the video if you need to. Safety is far more important to us than entertainment, so please enjoy your time here with us as we explore this fantasy world.
And he just shouts at the top of his lungs. All right, our traveling direction will go as follows. To make it to Waterdeep, we are going to be traveling to Tradeway. So, in order to make it there, we will first be heading to Dragonspear, to our northeast, the town of Dragonspear. In order to make it there, we will have to cut across Trollclaws and the winding waters that follow inside of it. For safety, we'll have the positioning the carts as follow. Each cart will have an associated cart following them per day that will travel approximately 50 feet apart. The rest will remain 200 feet away, so best to not get tangled up should something arise or occur. In the head of the caravan will be us to direct the rest of you. Then 200 feet back will begin your numbers. Decide amongst the lot who wants to be a pair and where you will be associated inside the cartel. Positions will not be changed during the travel unless agreed upon by both parties. It will take about 2 weeks to make it to the town of Dragonspear. During this time, we will travel for 12 hours per day, 10 hours for rest, and then 2 hours in the morning for prep. By this point, you will not receive aid from the rest of the formation if you break away, or forced to break away. We will continue on our path until you either make your way back or you do not return. If you do not return, your spot will be filled in by the rest of the cartel in order for safety in numbers.
Who sent you and why?
We were told by a man in Waterdeep that a caravan would be coming with some people that we would want to kill. Apart from that, we don't know anything else. We don't know if you're the ones we're supposed to or not. But, what are you rolling?
Insight.
Okay.
12.
That's a roll.
I believe him, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm. What'd you roll? What was your dice?
So,
It's not.
I have
It's not.
10.
Yeah, it's not going to be. Okay. Yeah, you both believe him.
still waiting for him to make the attacking.
He fully believes that he will live if he says what he wants or what they want. So with a 4 for insight, there's no way he's gonna be like, "You're lying to me," with 25 more points higher than him.
God. I mean, Randall's got it ready for him to try.
I figured.
Randall don't
Where was your employer from? Do you know?
Waterdeep.
Waterdeep, okay.
He works with the Cult of the Dragon. That's as far as I know.
That's good to know, actually. Thank you very much.
What else do you know about him?
I never saw him, but my boss said that he was a half-orc man.
We're traveling with a half-orc man. Oh, we're traveling.
Okay. Well,
It's just you saying that, I can now tell that Max is like, fuck, I mean, it's true. I don't know, I just see like your eyes are like, well, yeah, that's true. We are riding with a half-orc man.
Well, grab what you want then.
Okay. He stands up very cautiously, goes over to the boss. He pulls open, if nobody's doing anything, he pulls open a pouch, and you can see when he kind of goes to it, he has to like reveal his stomach, and you can see there's a small explosion mark that's right here as well on his side. It's very similar to the same glasses that's up here as well.
Wait. Tell me, what is that mark on your boss's head and belly is?
Well, we're members of the Sparks.
Gopher, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Alright, watch this.
He's gonna roll 1.
Natural 20.
Wow. Damn.
So, what ends up happening for you, in the middle of your dreams, in the middle of your sleep, inside your own room, you begin to sweat. There is a point where, in the back of your mind, you're thinking,
And in place of your normal, typical dreams that you sometimes have, this one feels different. There are flashes of images. Picture of a purple-skinned creature with long fingernails.
Everybody.
A point where there was a moment of image of you tied down by your hands and wrists to a post, and a picture once more of a blue flame skull that was in palm. At that point as well, it changed to a image of a large divot into the ground, several miles long, and it's just filled with sand. On the left side of it is this small pond-like lake almost, and going beyond it, you can see the picture changes once more to the interior of the same divot, and several explosions of the ground pop up with disgusting monstrosities' faces. And at that point, you hear in the back of your mind this cackling laughter of this horrible creature as it's just got gnarled teeth, and it fades further, and you can see this purple-skinned face. And
It's Thanos.
and at that point, the dream fades. You're able to still get your normal slumber, but it was very uncomfortable for you.
Okay.
When he speaks about Harvey being potentially not a political figure and how it would be a grave insult to attempt to ask for a one-on-one conversation with the Grand Maven, there's a slight tinge in part of his face that he hasn't had before.
Well, you're not wrong. That seems sketchy, but...
Well, because okay, she's gonna make a call here.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a call.
Okay.
Since I'm the only one who sees it, and he's half orc, I will, in his native language, ask, "What's wrong, friend?"
I'm not entirely understanding what you mean.
You seem off. You seemed off when you were talking about the grant. There was a little reaction.
Maybe it's the smell. It's not anything that I would understand. You can make an insight check.
I got 2
After he speaks about, there's that same tinge again. After he says there's nothing wrong. Maybe it's the smell.
What's up?
Nothing. You can see, essentially, he's got a tell going. Every time that he's lying, that there's that tinge. That's what your insight's giving you.
She leans forward and says, "There's something you're not telling me."
I don't feel comfortable talking about that. I mean, I have my own personal business, and it involves the Grand Maven, so I'm not going to be telling you anything.
Okay.
Once again, when he says the Grand Maven, when it's involving Grand Maven, there's the tinge once more.
I will try making myself as big as possible and intimidating him, asking being as assertive as I can. Who is the Grand Maven? Every time you say Grand Maven, you're lying about something. Yeah, I mean,
still
Jack will
terrified
absolutely go
because-
talk to Mead.
Okay, so you just hang out, meet, just back up. Says, greetings.
In light of recent events, the first thing she will ask is, "Who are you?"
I'm Mead. Well, Mead's more of a nickname, really, but it's my franchise. I make plenty of money. Not on my beer, obviously.
It's good beer!
You're lying to me.
I've had some of that beer. He's not lying. I will do an insight check just to see about to see if he's telling the truth
Go ahead and roll an insight
about
check.
what he is, mostly to see if he's telling the truth, to see if I can trust him.
Oh,
This is the trolls.
oh my god.
What?
What?
Trolls. With disadvantage.
What do you expect
Wow.
out of
Okay. That's a 16.
You kind of see he's really not hiding it very well. He is essentially sweating after answering your question.
Oh, God damn it.
You just hear Randall just like, fuck. Just for no reason, doesn't hear any of this. You just hear him going,
Popping everyone.
no, but just total metagame joking.
Okay,
Anyways.
so she completely I completely.
Oh,
see
you can
his line.
easily tell he's full of shit.
Okay.
With a 3 on his roll.
Oh, God.
Roll a natural 18, then the 3. This exhaustion has been affecting everyone else more than them.
Because of the trolls, because of Harvey, because of everything, she immediately grabs him, pulls out Moonshadow, and holds it to his neck. Are you?
Okay.
Basically,
Your
you
Majesty.
guys heard
Yeah.
what I told them, and I told you the exact same thing.
So while this is happening, we're going to cut, because that's going to take a while to essentially relay everything. We're going to go over to you. Roll a perception check with disadvantage.
Fuck.
Forget Alan's caravan.
Or
has
do you have
our-
advantage on Whisperers? Is that what the feature was that I gave
It
you?
might be actually.
I think it is. If not, I'm pretty sure I meant to have it be that. Because it's essentially you have advantage on gathering rumors.
Yeah, advantage on gossip gathering.
Gossip gathering. This would count as that.
Alright, so 13.
So 13.
Is this from our inventor card? Is he from passing by our inventor friend card?
This is for approaching Alan's cards.
Oh,
God.
They mobilize.
As soon as you say your queen, I'll just bow down. It's like,
Okay.
Majesty.
We'll get back to that.
It's very difficult to hear because you're kind of going in. Your horse is making its clopping into the mud, and as you approach, you can hear bits and pieces, but it's very difficult to hear. Upon first glance, you think that they're kind of discussing about like maybe their day, but when you get closer, their speech is not coherent sentences. They're using common, but not in a sentence. They're just using different words.
Oh, God damn it, you should have brought me with. Or Silver.
Yeah, you don't happen to know thieves' camps, do you?
Damn it.
Also, an important thing. I couldn't catch it. I was trying to eavesdrop on the conversation before I arrived there. They spoke in England, regular commoner language, but they were saying in weird words and
Can you
phrases.
recall it?
You can make an intelligence check to try to see if you
As
memorize
soon
what
as
they
he
were like
said
talking
broken,
about.
Randall's like, can you remember it?
11. What is it? Intelligence?
Intelligence check, yeah.
So yeah, just 11.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good though. For that's enough to essentially recall because you were only hearing bits and pieces
Yeah.
of it. Yeah, you can relay that in a semi-successful way.
They were kind of saying stuff like, okay,
Yeah, and
Is
you
it
explain.
enough that I could take what
You
he says
can.
and translate?
You can. It's not a full sentence. It's more or less about 3 words, and it says keep her hidden.
So what does that mean?
Well, they're trying to keep someone female hidden. Why did you just...
Alright, so
I can only imagine that they mean the Grand Maven
Yeah,
because they
exactly.
are her bodyguards.
yeah,
What
we
what
give
is
them a lot
that
of-
language?
Let's go see her
Thieves
for ourselves.
I don't like the sound of that.
So what? I'm sorry. What did you say?
I'm with asparagus. We're going off like away from the carts a bit until we start moving.
Essentially, you have extra time to get everything situated for what had occurred before.
Okay.
So,
Alright, so I make sure I look around.
okay. You don't see anyone nearby.
Okay, so asparagus.
What'd you say? By the way, Rex.
I was joking.
Oh, okay.
So asparagus. While everyone was sleeping, I thought it was a good chance for me to sneak around the camp a bit. Their cuts for a bit. I found out a lot of stuff. A few things, not a lot. I'll do with the least important one. The cart in the front.
Alright.
The one that is covered in the tart.
Yeah, those ones.
Well, I found out it's one of the carts is filled with food, just regular old food, probably vegetables and such. And the other one is pretty much treasure and money, and some old artifacts from what I saw. I couldn't tell what they were. There was like statues, talismans, and such. I didn't open too many bags. I didn't want to be too obvious, but that's what I found.
To specify which cart was which, by the way, the one that had the money in it was the second cart, not the one in the front.
The one in the front's the food.
The one in the front's the food.
Okay. And that's what I found about that. I couldn't do anything else. And the cart with the food on it, though, had a chest in it. Had a chest with a lock on it.
Did you open it up?
It had a lock on it. I can open it.
Oh, I mean, fine. Fair.
And then, okay. Next thing. You might like this one. I'm not sure if it happened up there. I don't hear screaming, so it probably didn't happen. I cut loose the horse, but it was still asleep. And I decided to leave it loose. And I don't know. I'm not sure if it left in the morning or not. He is the big one now. Like, very, very big. I make sure I look around again.
Make a perception check.
Alright, Calvin has actually fallen.
You don't see anyone nearby. Sorry.
So I went up to Alan's cart, the one they had with the name of the person they were holding.
The Grand Maven?
Yeah, it's called with the Grand Maven in it. I tried opening the door. It was locked, obviously. I heard inside it was a woman, so yeah, Grand Maven, blah blah blah. And then I found an old damaged part somewhere on the cart. I pushed it open, and I saw that mage chick. You know who I'm talking about? The one over there with Alan's group?
The one who tried to help Gopher, right?
Yeah, that one. It was just her in there. No one else.
You recall that Dragon Spear, for one, was a head figure in a recent civil war several decades ago, or at least history foretold it. It was recently after the Great Gods War, the Primer, and go to the bathroom. Okay. They were a very large central location for a lot of battles. They came with Dragonspear because a lot of the military force that stayed and presides in Dragonspear are draconic individuals. They also are called the Drac Knights, where they wear solidified black metal armor, obsidian, essentially, textured. And they have a same textured shield with the same kind of textured spear. So they walk with essentially pitch black armor on and weaponry that was very powerful against the Civil War and their defensive force rather than their offensive. That's why Dragonspear essentially was named that, was because the head, the governor of that city at the time, was part of this covenant with. It was the Civil War was between 4 different cities, and the cities themselves were more like regions. They were, let me find it. They essentially set up fortresses of castles, and there was the castle of Struben, which was to the north of Faerun, Castle Fastguard, which was to the south, Castle Distrube, which was to the east, which is the furthest from you, and Castle Farbar, which was to the west.
I'll just tell you that now.
That's fine. This is for Zacharis. And this was, Dragonspear was the main city figure for Castle Farbar many decades ago.
So it was one of the cities for the Civil War.
And the Castle of Farbar was the victorious of the 4.
And that's what Dragonspear is.
Essentially, Dragonspear was a head figure of their defensive force.
Alright. Yeah,
So why is it
I
called
told everybody
Dragonspear?
that.
It's called Dragonspear because of the Drac Knights.
Okay. So yeah, you both can hear the same thing. There's several different pieces of gossip that you end up picking up on. You hear a woman off to the side. She's kind of just bickering about the cost of her products, of food, and the taxes. There's a pair of individuals that kind of look a little bit shady off to the side. They're complaining about how the guards are full of shit and they're not. They're breaking all their own legal laws to cause whatever they desire.
Yeah, I knew it was one of those towns.
You hear. You see an individual who's a little bit injured, and you can see he says starts talking about his friend from Waterdeep, and that apparently the Waterdeep had been attacked in the recent few days ago.
Oh.
It was only a small scale, but they destroyed old buildings with makeshift explosions. Another thing that you hear is two individuals that are kind of just whispering to themselves. They're just talking about how the prisoners of the Obsidian Mine, they found a small cave that looked like a ruin of sorts, and it's supposed to be like a relic of the past. The last thing that you hear is very similar to that is someone else butting into that conversation of them saying that they heard that the prisoners that were sent into the cave to investigate either never came out or were left screaming. Wait, left screaming?
The ruin cave you're talking about?
The ruin cave, they either went in and didn't come back, or the ones that did come back were left screaming.
Alright, so for an agreement, then me will be behind your car.
Alright, that's fine with us. Doesn't bother us any.
Alright. Right, there you go, me. Then you move your card up. We'll ask Shalay to move on, switch spots with her, because she's okay with it.
That does actually bring up a point, though. When did you want to do the meeting, by the way?
That was a good point. A lot of crazy things happened last night. We couldn't come to you. I was going to go look.
Oh, we weren't going to do it last night anyway. It's on the road is much easier, or we can just move our carts side by side.
I'll talk to Harvey about it and let him know, and then I'll come back to you when he gives an answer.
Alright, that's fine by me.
Alright. Hey. Talk to you later. Me, go for it. And then
Alright, me moves his cart forwards. The person that he essentially said he hired is this individual that's got like red robes on with like a hood completely up. The hood has actually like
did
small.
he actually hire him, like pay him?
You don't know. You just see that he's there.
I know. Well, I was thinking, because why would he pay another member? Like, why would he pay for another member of his group to help him?
You don't know.
To keep it in the secrecy.
But
Okay.
To make it
keep
look
it-
yeah,
real.
you can see he's got like a pale face on. He's got a little bit of some face marking tattoos that are like black that go from here and across.
That's not suspicious at
Hey,
all.
no, it's a dragon
Jesus Christ!
You've seen plenty of people with black markings on. You see there all the time in the tribal camp.
It's true.
Hi guys. I got a good look at Mead's little bodyguard guy, and I explained to him what he looks like. I don't.
He's got black markings that go cusp out towards the top of his head, kind of like.
Any of us make a history check?
Yeah, you can make a history check if you want. Those
From one of my sailor days.
well, less of that. Something my father once told me was there's this nation called
Call it the dragon.
well, no, they're a part of it's their. I guess you could call them Thians. They're like a group of individuals that essentially had to leave their country because of mage that turned all living matter into undead. So they had to flee, and a lot of them were what other nations called Red Wizards. They're very powerful spellcasters.
Do I have to roll to have any knowledge of this?
No, because you don't remember it before.
Well,
The thing is that they're mainly a part of the Sea of Swords coast, so
yes, public.
being
how
around
did I
here would
forget
make
about
sense.
them?
Alright. So
I'm just going. How did I forget about that?
Yeah, you mean you read too
I
many things.
I remember when that report came through.
Yeah, now you do.
It was awful.
alright, so
Yeah, they're really they're from what his father
I
had
actually
said.
threw up reading that report.
They're not very trusted and very disliked amongst a lot of other nations.
So who are you all? What are you lot?
What are you doing here?
I'm not. Me and Rex aren't there, right?
No, yeah, you two are doing your own business.
We're still minding here, walking by.
Yeah, you guys are doing your stuff. Gopher and Randall, you two are the ones that she's talking to. So she says those to you.
Technically we're currently somewhat lost, and I'm Randall, and that's Gopher.
Well, my name is John Gleamsilver. I was stripped away from my cards, believe it or not. Little bastards probably just want something to sleep with. They killed every other male that was on my group, and here I am. So, thank you. I was gonna fight to my last breath for sure, once they got me back to wherever they wanted to be.
Well, at least you're alive.
Yeah.
Cool. If you would like to travel with us, we're trying to get to Waterdeep.
Oh, Waterdeep are you? That'd be fantastic. What purpose are you going for?
To go to Waterdeep, pretty much.
Just to go to Waterdeep?
The one directly in front of... What is he, unconscious?
No.
Okay. The one directly in front of Ryder leans forwards and pulls out this small vial of substance. Can't really see what it is, but he begins to chug it with his bonus action. These three know what it is. You two have no idea what this is, as you guys haven't experienced it yet.
What?
It's like steroids at that.
Well, I have a feeling, I think.
So what happens is you guys hear this disgusting bone cracking deformation sound coming from where Ryder stands. You can't really
Hang on. Is it the black, the stuff that turned for long to scale?
Yeah.
Yes, so you have seen it.
Yes.
Well, you haven't seen the substance. You've seen this effect. You would not have seen the substance, though.
Yeah.
You guys hear the disgusting deformation sound, and you see two massive wings just sprout from a figure that's standing in front of Ryder. And you hear just... And he takes two massive clawed hand strikes against Ryder. Okay. Alan's group looks around, and Alan will snap his fingers briefly, and these two, kind of ghostly blades show up on two fingers, and he hurls them at Randall.
Alan?
With advantage because of the surprise. The first attack is a 14.
No.
Yep. Second attack is a 25.
Son of a...
You were planning on shield? Because the thing is that you can't have the reaction when you're surprised. So shield wouldn't have been able to be triggered anyways. So what happens is, you guys see this kind of crude smile kind of smirk up from Alan. He goes, well, I know them. And he hurls these blades at you. There's a small chain that intersects both these shuriken type of weaponry, and they're thrown at you. One of them you just kind of block upwards. The other one stabs into your chest, and you take... You find 2 vials of ooze, about 25 more arrows. Each of them had about 5. So actually more like 35 arrows. Alan and the bard don't seem to actually have much of anything on them. All these people don't have any coin purses, nothing of substantial value. Investigating, though, you do see 2 things. There is an exploded mark of a spark symbol on the stomach of Alan, and you have to go find it, but on the back of the bard's head, there is a blown out spark symbol from part of the hair. They either kind of move back, and there's the spark symbol on there. At that point, you also kind of look up, and you don't know where the other carts went. They are long gone. You get these visions. You do get your long rest in still, because you saved.
Alright.
Just barely.
Alright.
There's this moment where you feel the same energy as you did before. This presence, this binding to a post with... The image is much more vivid. You see the night hag that you had seen before.
Oh.
You see the sea hag beside her.
No.
And you see an unconscious you strapped to a post.
I remember that.
There's a moment where the blue
blue skull flame brushes up against you, and this time you see something enter your body.
Oh.
It's dark, it's black, and once it enters, you see this pulse of black veins that overlap across your entire body,
Death.
and then they vanish.
Oh,
And then in the far distance, you hear clattering of footsteps and torches, and you see Strauss Driscoll and your companions that were on the ship coming to save you. And then you get knocked back out from that image.
Oh,
You see a picture of a crevice, very deep, nearly 50 feet down, that's just sand. It's almost as if there's a digit into the ground that was just punched in. It's covered in sand. Given area has no foliage except for the lipping ring around it. And at the very bottom, you see a swirling mass that just takes shape, and these disgusting dust creatures emerging out of it. Much like before, where you had seen several hands emerging out of the same sort of pit. So this time you can see it more clearly. The image is more vivid.
Okay.
Once you do see this, it cuts over, pans backwards, further and further into the air, and you can see just to the left of that is this very large lake. And it zooms in very quickly, and you see a very white flower with red prawns.
Oh.
And it zooms back out once more, and you wake up from your dream.
You have that ring, right? That water walking.
I do. Still, I show him.
Yes, that's nice. Probably should have told you this a long time ago, maybe. That ring, I know what the curse is.
Okay. Do
it
tell.
tells, Yep. I take like 3 steps back, and I get ready to run just to...
Get ready to die. So what you see is
I back up too.
Zacchaeus backing away towards the water, just like like a little bit of some neck strain, and kind of pulls on the collar of his clothing a little bit.
Asparagus?
That's not a good sign, is it?
That ring tells the cult where we are.
Oh.
Tells who?
That's,
That is.
that explains a lot.
Yeah, she said.
It does.
Like,
Does.
who?
Zacchaeus, make an intelligence check, quick.
Alright, I start running. Oh, shit. I don't know what he's talking about.
Gopher's like here confused, like,
15?
Okay, that's enough
Alright,
to remember the specifics of the ring. Something might have been a little wrong. You remember, after kind of like recollecting of everything that happened beforehand, and you recall being told that you remember that it's less of it tells them of where they are, it quite literally tells them what's around, what's happening, what's being said. It can pick up actual audio. It doesn't specify what they're doing or like where they are. Creatures can hear through it. When getting closer and closer, the further out from the center of the city, there's a very large structure. There's like, it's varying in building sizes, but there's one that has like a spire that goes up to a tip at the end, and that seems to be more delegated to the center of the city. Further and further away from that, you can see more damage to the buildings. Some of them have completely collapsed in, stone walls have smashed, bits and pieces of it look to be charred, almost blackened from some kind of flame or substance. And that's what you gather from this distance. So now we're going to go over to Zacchaeus and Jacqueline. So you two are traveling towards the religious district. And
Wherever the hell that is.
You've seen it. When traveling to the port, it's closer to the center of the city. It's near that big spire as well. Getting closer and closer. Zacchaeus, you're familiar with this area. You know that the archive and every buildings that are closely related to it are religious in nature. So getting there was not difficult in any sense. However, when you get here, you can clearly see that many of the religious buildings that involve the Church of Bahamut, they look to be really underwhelming and unkept. So there's moss growing on the wood, there's destroyed, chipped pieces of it, several scorch marks in different places. Okay. And when initially, going into it, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of individuals inside it, but you can tell that they once did have a very prevalent religious group and faction here.
This isn't that formal as how I remember.
Yes, Sikaris, what you remember is the entire city did not look like this. It looked much more normal, well-built, actually quite nice. All the buildings were very well kept up. There was guards patrolling here and there. It seems very ramshackle now. And the religious buildings themselves were almost the highlight of the city. They were pristine, even with all of the damp atmosphere. They didn't look to be days old, and that lasted for years. So this immediate shock of this is actually very powerful to you.
What are we supposed to do here?
Apparently Randall thought they could help.
But there's no one around.
Getting down into this room, though being old and still a bit decrepit, it's of a lot higher quality than the upstairs room. Being with such old air, the wood that was part of tables seems to have at least contained, and it didn't rot away. On top of the table, there are several just scatterings of paper. Several of them are actually pinned up to what look to be a wooden wall that have lines intersecting in each and every different portion of it.
It's a conspiracy theorist den?
It could be compared to like a conspiracy theory.
I was literally gonna make a joke, and it's got red twine going to them.
It's not red, but it's line work. It's like chalk lines that go to certain portions. Looking around, there's also just crates of substance.
Ew.
And I mean, you haven't looked inside of them.
It's just shit.
But that's what you initially see when you come down here.
Do I know what this room was for?
You would definitely remember because it was very prominent with your mother's work. Do you want me to say that out loud? Do you care?
I mean, you just did.
Well, it's very reminiscent of when your mother would do work for the archive. She would come down here, and anything that she brought home from it would go into the space.
I see. Well, I suppose we should just look around and see if there's anything useful.
So you can go up to the crates, make an investigation check. Both of you. Checking out the table, that has a lot of information on it, and with a 17, you can see that it has several of them have markings of what look to be comparable to the archive, and it looks to be based off dates. Several years of them have been lined back and forth. Looking at a lot of them, though, and kind of equating where they're going, it seems to have a picture of a half-orc man named Turnitin Fraus.
Okay.
And looking at the picture, this looks like Karn.
Normally, to do it at a low level, you have a specific spot, a circle with certain symbols, and to be able to teleport them, you have to know those symbols, and it will teleport you only to there. These seem to be a little more complicated because it's not a full circle. A normal one would be big, and there'd be a lot of them. They've seen whoever's doing this has seemed to figure out how to miniaturize this. That's real powerful.
After hearing about it, because you haven't seen the sigil. After he explains it to you, an image just kind of flashes into your mind, some kind of recollection. You have seen this sigil before, but it looks different. You've seen it after use. This is before use. One of the sigils is completely devoid of its powerful magic, as you've seen that before. And you can only see the remnants of it. This one is more... You've seen this back in the tribal camp with the green hag, when she had vanished from that room. So you guys are going to exit the room, and as you do, the door doesn't move. You push at the door, as everyone else's has, doesn't budge. So we're going to pause with this. We're going to go down to downstairs.
11.
Okay.
11.
Okay. You two see this because it's very openly obvious. After Gopher has ripped open, because this would have taken some time as well.
So probably.
Ripped open all the barrels, or not all the barrels, all the crates into different portions. I'm just going to say that you probably layered them 2 by 2 instead of like having some of them be 3s. They have random bits of like cloth and food, perishable foods inside of them that seem to have been rotted. And right here, Zacchaeus and Rex, as Gopher has moved all the crates and not turned around at all, there seems to be a small digit in the wall right here.
Whoa.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. It's like right there's a small digit. And then at that point, the torch sconces in this room go dark red. And then we go over to upstairs.
Oh, shit.
I'm not going to move that because we're going to cut it after I give you a brief description. You go for the door, and as you kind of push against it, there's nothing that happens. The torch sconces that are in this room go dark red, and the entirety of this room turns into a red tint. You hear behind you just as the suit of metal that is there, the adamantine armor, comes into contact and forms into a humanoid creature. Directly on the wall next to you, you hear some vibration, and the sword dashes towards Felix. The shield lifts off the wall, and the opposing sword also unhinges.
What did anyone else find?
Can I make an investigation on that door?
Yeah, you can go over to it. I mean, so you open it up, and you can see that it goes inside a little bit, and there is a small childlike figure that's like on its side, and it looks very pale. Completely on the side, on the bottom of the dresser. It is a wardrobe, and there is a child laying
Can I make a
basically on the
medicine
side.
check and see if the kid's alive?
You can make a medicine check.
17.
17. You go down, you initially go up to it, kind of brush up against the side. His skin is very cold. And you turn him over to his side, and his face looks normal. You can tell that he's breathing. There's some circulatory air. And then his eyes open, and you can see they are solid black. And in that briefest moment where you're like, what? Its mouth cracks, like the sides of his mouth crack slowly and just rip open, and there's jutted teeth, and it just goes...
You can't step back.
And it's loud.
Shut it.
And in that moment, you guys can all hear it. Just it's like a high-pitched whining sound that resonates throughout the room. Ryder, Gopher, and Randall, or fucking damn it, Felix, keep doing that. You guys hear the sounds, and the walls begin to crack.
So the Black Moose thing, I explained to him.
So he explains to you that they've witnessed creatures like this before, and they've seen them months ago before even traveling to El Terrell. They explain the black flasks have been... Because they've seen the black flask being used. They don't know what it is, though.
We don't know the extent of it.
Yeah, they know what it does. They haven't seen what it is.
But this could be a more enhanced version of it. A more dangerous one.
Yeah. So what's your guys' plan?
Let's investigate what room they were in at least.
Okay. Looking into the room, it is coated in a thick layer of what looks to be blood, and also draconic scales that have lost their color and fallen to the floor.
Yep. What I expected.
I've seen this one before.
You've seen identical to this room before. Cobblestone floor, walls, chains embedded into the walls, and also
So much blood.
a lot of blood. It's covering the floor, walls, and ceiling.
No way to identify anyone in there.
It's impossible, actually.
Not anything in there. If you go up and investigate the bodies, you can recognize them to being figures that were described to you.
I'm definitely investigating. You
Yeah.
want me to roll?
Well, one of them seemed... Yeah, roll investigation.
You two go first.
10 overall.
10 overall. Looking at them, they're hard to recognize, especially the kid, because part of his head is definitely gone. After they're down and this black ichor kind of pours out from them, their pale skin gets like even paler to the point of where the draconic scales just fall off like they're brittle pieces of chips.
Do I see innkeeper?
You do recognize a dwarven innkeeper. You recognize a fairly younger man, maybe in his 20s.
And old man.
An older man. And someone that you don't recognize at all. Their hair is completely gone, and they seem to be pale. You can tell it's a woman, but you can't tell who.
Do I know it?
No.
Well, we found our missing people.
Yeah. This is what they usually. This is what the Call of the Dragon usually does. Or
What
you guys know
these
Wait.
bodies?
Sorry. Right, Rex, you would have seen this person. Because this person is the wizard woman that was in the cart before. Though she looks like she's been here for many weeks. But I still did nothing. You're the one that took your own mother's life.
I look over with confusion.
I've done a lot of bad things to a lot of good people. But you, my friend, I think I'll enjoy killing.
You think you're going to kill me? I've lived in this mansion for a while, doing sparks of my business for a while. Being relatively young myself, I plan to retain what I have. I plan to keep my job. I plan out my life. You are not one that's going to direct me. And in that moment, all the lights fade. And you hear the swords going towards you, and nothing happens. They go straight through you. And you hear
Ahead of us or behind us?
ahead of you.
This-
I cast daylight.
What was that, Zakaris?
He said,
You cast light on yourself?
Yeah.
Jacqueline?
I
Okay.
cast daylight.
Where?
Above us, I guess.
Okay, because the ceiling goes about, from where you're standing, the ceiling goes up 30 feet when you're casting this. So it's hard to tell initially, but the ceiling definitely goes up 30 feet, and then these go up 15 feet as you're going up the steps. But you're casting daylight. How much
Daylight,
light
yes.
does that make?
Quite a bit.
What's the range of where you can put it?
Let me look.
I'll use a D12 for it. Because
A range of 60 feet, and it emits 60 feet of bright light and an additional 60 feet of dim.
okay, as you put it, generally like in the middle of the room,
Sure.
okay, put it up into the ceiling. Everyone can suddenly see as what is charging directly towards you is a 15-foot tall construct of several different plated metals and massive fists that have to seem to be jutted out from the elbow, these large piston-like devices.